Serena's Song was among the best of her generation, with 11 Grade 1 wins and an Eclipse Award to her credit. She is also one of the best that horse racing has ever seen as a member of the Hall of Fame. Her legacy burns bright through her descendants at stud, horses like first season sire Honor Code. Today, at age 27, Serena Song is enjoying her retirement at her longtime home at Denali Stud, alongside 3 of her daughters and 1 of her granddaughters.
My mother and father, on their honeymoon in 1947, went from where they had met in Oregon and were married down to the horse races in San Diego at Del Mar. Liked it, but more importantly, they had in our Budweiser territory, Santa Anita Racetrack. And one day in 1990, my father was over there calling on the catering company who sold a lot of our Budweiser, and got to talking with a young man who stepped up and introduced himself and said that he was a local horse trainer there, and that, Mr. Lewis, you ought to consider buying a horse or 2. You'd really enjoy it. My dad said, okay, let's try that. The very first horse that Wayne selected for Mom and Dad was this filly sired by Rahi, and she wasn't inexpensive, but she was quite reasonable. And Wayne turned to my dad when the hammer went down and said to him, "Bob, I think that one, that being Serena's Song, fell between the cracks." And if there was ever a truthful statement made in the history of horse racing, that had to be among the tops.
I was a fan when she was on the racetrack. I mean, you know, it goes back to, I was at Three Chimneys, and Rahi was our stallion, and she was out of his first crop. So I was following her racing career from the beginning. So to have the opportunity to come here 15 years ago and then have Serena Song here, you know, the smile on my face was amazing.
Serena was the really first big horse that somebody put in our hands as a broodmare. You know, I can still remember like yesterday, the day she showed up, and I can remember conversations with Bob about, you know, I actually remember saying, look, we can treat her like a pet in a zoo, make sure she's safe, you know, or we can treat her like a horse and raise her like a horse and try to make her a great mare. And, you know, to his credit, he said, no, treat her like a horse and let's see where it goes.
We let her be a horse. She stays outside almost 24 hours a day. She'll come up, get a bite to eat. She gets curried, gets groomed. If it's hot, we'll leave her up a few hours out of the heat and let her go back outside.
Serena Song's breeding career is one that I have followed pretty darn closely. I think I was present at the sale of her first 2 foals, fillies, Sophisticat and Serena's Tune, ultimately their names, who have proven to be excellent broodmares in their own right, as well as racehorses in their own right. But her breeding career has been phenomenal.
You know, Jeff had stepped in to start to help Beverly with the management of the stable, and the decision was made that, you know, we were going to retain her daughters and granddaughters and that blood, and we're extremely grateful for that decision.
She's just an extraordinary creature, and that's had a lot to do with the decision to keep her daughters and promote, or at least be involved in, her legacy.